This is the Padres Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Diego Padres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Padre fan? Man, oh man, they are hot right now. Welcome to your Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries. You know the deal. We are live right after every Padres game right here with the Postcast, and it's on YouTube. You know this. And then right after, we upload, you download. Apple, iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast, and of course, Roku. You down with OPP? No, it's OTT. And the Padres have won 4 in a row, 7-0. They shut out the Milwaukee Brewers tonight. A homer fest at Petco, even without Fernando. Ryan O'Hearn with a grand slam. Arraez with a 2-run shot, extends his hitting streak to 12 games. And Jose, can we see? Iglesias staying hot, rips another one tonight. Randy Vasquez making a strong case for a spot in the postseason rotation, and it might come down to he and Dylan Cease, who pitches tomorrow against these same Brewers. Vasquez, a one-hitter through 7, and then Wandy Peralta, and then Yuki Matsui. They don't even need to go to the big dogs tonight. Suarez, Miller, all those guys rested up, and I saved the best news for last. Are you ready, Padre fan? I asked you, are you ready, Padre fan? And the answer is yes. You are 1.5 games behind the Chicago Cubs in the wild card race. And the winner of that race between those two teams, look, the Mets won tonight. The Reds lost. The Mets are a game up on the Reds, right? But neither one of them's catching the Padres. It's going to be the Padres against the Cubs. Maybe, because you're also only a game and a half behind the Dodgers, right? And there's a lot to be said there. So after tomorrow's game, we'll really deep dive into some playoff stuff. Maybe get Javier Arraez on from Locked On Padres podcast, and we will get it rolling. All right, Padres Postcast, 7-0, the final 4 wins in a row for the Pods, and, of course, the first 2 against the National League best Milwaukee Brewers. You want to be playing your best ball right as the season ends, and the Padres peaking right now. This is your Padres Postcast. Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, and it starts right now.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Big Daddy Kane said, another victory. You know what I'm saying? Another victory for the Pods. And look, they come out of Chicago, Chi-Town roll now, and they win those last 2 games of that series. Nail biters. Look at my nails against the White Sox. You think I'm lying? Nail biters, right? They come in to the Brewers game last night, and they're down 3-1. After taking the 1-0 lead, they should have exploded in the first inning yesterday. No, the Brewers got out of it and with Peralta, but the Padres down 3-1 after 2 when Yelich hit the 2-run single off Pivetta to make it 3-1. They made every play in that game to win it. They're down 3-1 in the second inning. Pivetta shut them down from there, right? 6 relievers. They win it 5-4 and 11. Punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch. Oh, they blocked that punch and then counter punch. Bang, goodbye, Brewers last night. And that's the kind of win, the 1-run win where you just won't lose. You will not lose. Mike Shildt in his flip-flops and his baseball uniform. Managers should not wear uniforms. That's a side note. But anyway, in the clubhouse, if you saw it last night, right after they clinched the playoff berth, he said, we play like we did tonight with that kind of heart and that kind of fire. And I'm paraphrasing, nobody's going to beat us. And that includes the NL-Best Brewers, who have been hot, right? So 2 in a row over Milwaukee. They conclude the series tomorrow, 1:10 first pitch at Petco, day off Thursday. Wrap it up. Yeah, over the weekend against the D-backs, who are in the hunt still, nipping at the heels of the Mets and Reds. And I believe the D-backs are tied with the Mets or the Reds. They're tied with the Reds, and the Mets are a game up on both. I'll give you the update. But, man, what a win tonight. Let's get into it, shall we? What a game for the Padres. What a way to get this thing started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. And that's what happened, right? Ryan O'Hearn right away, Ryan O'Hearn, the big guy. And he might not have been in the lineup tonight. I'm going to be real with you. Fernando missed another game. Mike Shildt scares the crap out of me that he's going to bench O'Hearn and start Cronenworth, and I'm going to lose my mind. Arraez is red hot right now as a 3-time batting champ. I don't even want to hear talk about that anymore. I love you, Javi. I don't want to hear talk about that anymore. The odd man out 100% should be Jake Cronenworth. He should be the odd man out. And maybe Sheets, right? Maybe Sheets, he sits down against the lefty and you play Cronenworth. But what about Iglesias right now? Red hot, playing the hot hands. Mike Shildt cannot be afraid to do that. Easy for me to say, right? Easy for me to say. But what a win tonight. And O'Hearn might have been on the bench had Fernando been available. And that really does scare me about Mike Shildt. The guy hits a grand slam tonight. He's down 0-2. He works the count to 2-2, and he had been in a slump. But if he can work his way out of the slump, Laureano carried him for a while. Manny hasn't gotten hot yet. And one more thing happened tonight, sneaking under the radar, because the D-backs came back on the Dodgers. They walked them off in Arizona. And, of course, the Cubs lost to the Mets, right? Come on out and, get beat by the Mets. Now, a game and a half behind Chicago. What does it all mean? Cypress Hill. What does it all mean? It's going to take a long time. Anyway, my point is, you're a game and a half behind the Dodgers. You're a game and a half behind the Cubs. You pass the Cubs in the wild card, 4 games left, down a game and a half, and they are really struggling right now. You pass them, the series is at home. It's at Petco. You don't pass them, it's in Chicago. Now, it bears repeating. You tie the Cubs, what happens? You have the tiebreak over the Cubs. You don't have it over the Dodgers. So that game and a half lead for the Dodgers is really 2.5 with 4 left. So tough sledding there, but really good opportunity to pass the Cubbies and end up in that top wild card slot, which to me would be huge because obviously that would be at Petco. And that's a big, big thing for me right now, is to be home in front of these fans. And, they hit 3 homers tonight. Ryan O'Hearn's grand slam, big one. Louis Arraez with a 2-run shot. You know what I'm saying? And then Jose Iglesias adds a solo shot late. So the Brewers, 100-game winner will not happen this year in baseball because they lost tonight. They would have had to win out. So no 100-game winners in baseball. The scheduling is working, the parity. They haven't been able to bring the real terrible teams up like the White Sox and the Rockies, but actually the Marlins came up big this year, right? They're just on the outside looking in of the playoffs. So no 100-game winners this year. The Brewers are 2 games ahead of the Phillies for the top spot in the National League. So these are games they really want to win. And these are games that they're not mailing it in knowing they already made the playoffs. They are going full bore, and you're just mashing them. The 5-4, 11-inning win last night, that's the type of win that sets you on a run. That's the type of win that puts the wind in your sails and carries you. And every day it feeds it more. Bam, there goes an O'Hearn grand slam. It's 4-0 before you blink. Louis, he hits the fair pole. It's not a foul pole. When you hit it, what is it? Is it fair, foul? It's a fair pole. You know what I'm saying? So they're a game and a half behind the Cubs. They're a game and a half behind the Dodgers. And whoever wins that race in a wild card gets to host a best-of-3 series next week, whether it be the Padres, the Dodgers, or the Cubs, because the Padres could still win the division. So Javi will have all the playoff races for you, and obviously that's a big thing on Locked On Padres podcast day in, day out right here on the network. Bruce Zimmerman, Brewers and season debut did not go so well. Yuki Matsui and Wandy Peralta. Peralta made it interesting. A couple hits in the 8th. Matsui, a single in the 9th, but they didn't have to use Suarez. He had pitched 3 days in a row. They did not have to use Miller. They did not have to use any of those guys. Morejon didn't pitch tonight. So they'll be locked and loaded for tomorrow. With a day off Thursday, go for broke tomorrow. With Dylan Cease and his inconsistent self on the mound. Look, he could throw up zeros and strike 10 dudes out and then give up a 4 spot in the 5th inning or the 3rd inning or whatever. He could get belted early, giving up homers, or he could continue to pitch as he has recently, a little bit better. Last time out was a little bit better, but he's had a couple good starts lately. If he can recapture that, then Mike Shildt has a big decision to make between Vasquez, between Cease, and then who else is going to be in that rotation? It has to be Michael King. It has to be Pivetta. You got Yu Darvish. So you all of a sudden have some options now. And Vasquez had a good outing, 3 outings ago, and then another one this time, but 2 in between that weren't so great. So you could see him getting a playoff start and getting ripped. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm not Mike Shildt on that one. I'll tell you that. But I don't know if I do it. But, man, oh, man, what a win. The 5th grand slam for the Padres this season, the 2nd this week, so it's a big one. And then tomorrow you got Priester, who's 13-2 with a 3.25 against Dylan Cease, 8-12. 8-12 with a 4.64. And it's his free agent year. So you want to leave it on a good note, right? You want to pitch great down the stretch and into the playoffs. And, one more thing I do want to add for the Padres, and it's big. Xander Bogaerts is back. Bogey is back. All right, Jim Grieshaber, call me Gries, Padres Postcast, Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. One thing to do before the break, but you know what? No, we'll do it coming right out of the break. We got the turning point. We got the star of the game. We got to look ahead to tomorrow. I love you tomorrow at Petco with a chance to pull within a half game of the Cubs and the Dodgers with a win tomorrow. And the Diamondbacks fighting for their lives, Mets fighting for their lives. Those are who the Dodgers and the Cubs are playing. So tough opponents for them, as well as the Brewers for you. And then you play Arizona to wrap up the season. So all kinds of scenarios there for Javi to go over with you and things like that. But man, what a win tonight. All of a sudden, they're hitting the long ball. All of a sudden, the starting pitching's coming back. All of a sudden. And again, you get one good start from King. Pivetta keeps it going. Vasquez now. That's contagious. Do not sleep on that for 1 second. That's contagious. All right, this is the Postcast, Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. 7-zip the shutout. 2 in a row over Milwaukee. 4 in a row overall. 1.5 behind the Cubs in the wild card. And 1.5 behind the Dodgers in the division. Now you know why every time something happened with Estrada giving up a home run against the Dodgers or the wrong pitching moves being made, Suarez blowing a save, all those games matter so much now, even the ones you lost in April, right? So any game that you gave away is now like literally going back, and you can't do it. You can't go back. That's one thing about sports is you don't go back. You keep moving forward and you think about what's coming ahead and what you're doing right now, not what you've done in the past. All right, going to take a quick break, step aside, all that coming up and more. This is Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. 7-zip San Diego. It's sold out Petco. And oh, baby, what a night. And I always get a chance. I feel like we're spoiling you guys, and we're not even doing it. Like, we're just letting them in. All these great companies with amazing products and services that just want to be here and they want to talk to you because they know what kind of audience you are and they know all about you and they know that you're great customers and very loyal with what you do. So they are clamoring to get in here at you. And right now I want to, just keep it real with you guys. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products, right? And thought, sure, like that actually works. Come on, man. Come on, Gries. There's so many products out there. It's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything, but Nutrafol is here. And you need to give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. It's simple to add to your day. I love it. 4 pills with a meal, no prescription needed. And you can feel good about it knowing Nutrafol is NSF certified and backed by peer-reviewed studies. We're getting close, guys. There ain't going to be baldness for much longer, and it's because of people like the folks at Nutrafol. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners and viewers $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Locked On MLB. That's Nutrafol.com. Promo code Locked On MLB for Nutrafol on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And of course, I love to get the action on the action. There is nothing at all right now. There's literally nothing. Oops, excuse me, guys. There is. There we go. Literally nothing like getting action on the action, guys. The NFL season is here, and the action is insane. How about Herbert's touchdown pass? Oh, my Lord, against the Broncos. What a game for the Bolts. 3-0 under Jim Harbaugh. The NFL season is in full swing, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. What's that offer? Right now, hey, it's your tomorrow. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app anywhere you want, right? I love using FanDuel because of the wonderful things it does. It fits however you like to bet, and I like to bet. Player props, building a same-game parlay. Maybe you even want to jump in live as the action unfolds. You can do all that on FanDuel. It makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, it's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your NFL Sundays and every other day of the week that the NFL spreads out to like an amoeba. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet with FanDuel on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. 7-zip Padres, 2 in a row over the Brew Crew. Best team in the National League. 1.5 behind the Cubs in the wild card. 1.5 behind the Dodgers in the NL West with 4 games left. Tomorrow, 1:10 against the Brewers. Weekend series at home against the D-backs, who are a game out of the wild card themselves. Right now, before we wrap it up today, I'll give you a quick look at the standings, talk about tomorrow's game with Dylan Cease, man, and Quinn Priester. That's a tough one for Cease. He's got to come through tomorrow. Keep this thing rolling, baby. Then you hit the day off and you got the D-backs coming in. and they're playing well as well. You know, they just walked off the Dodgers, right? We just talked about that. But what a win. What a streak. What perfect timing. The starting pitching, all of a sudden, King, Pivetta, and even though Pivetta wasn't great, think about it, he gave up 3 in the first 2 innings, 3 in the second inning. You know what I'm saying? Last night, and then shut him down through 5 and 2/3, and then the bullpen took over from there with 6 relievers. But tonight, with Peralta, with Matsui, everybody who pitched last night got a break, and that's really important right now. So you have a bunch of fresh arms for tomorrow. Day off Thursday means everybody will be rearing to go for the weekend, and then you'll have King and Pivetta both on the mound over the weekend. I think that's phenomenal with you, Darvish. So that's a nice, you know, that might be your playoff rotation right there. King, Pivetta, you, Darvish. I don't know. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. But before we do, how and when was this game won tonight?
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Oh, the turning point. And we know what this is all about, right? Bottom of the first inning. Trouble for Bruce Zimmerman. First start for the Brewers, first start this season. Hadn't pitched since 2023. Luis Arraez leads off. Fernando's sick and out again, right? They had him on FaceTime in the clubhouse with the celebration last night. He wasn't there, but Arraez leads off with a single, hitting streak at 12. Later would hit a 2-run homer. Bogart strikes out swinging. That's right. Xander, bogey, is back. And in the 2-hole tonight, interestingly enough, went 0 for 4. Sheets walks, Arraez goes to second. I think O'Hearn would have been on the bench tonight if Fernando would have been healthy. Maybe he gave Schulte something more to think about. Thank God, I've been saying it all year. You should have just watched this show. Laureano singles to right. Arraez can't score on that. Fernando would have, obviously. But bases loaded, nobody out. No, all right, it's 1 out because Bogart struck out. Excuse me. Bases loaded, 1 out. O'Hearn falls down 0-2, works the count 2-2, and smashes a grand slam to right field. A bullet, scoring all 3 of them, Arraez, Sheets, and Laureano. Iglesias flies out. Johnson flies out. But, man, look at that lineup, right? 4 runs on 3 hits for the Padres. And Vasquez comes out, 2-out walk to Bowers. But other than that, sets him down. Arraez in the second hits a 2-run shot. It is 6-0. But the turning point's the grand slam. Really, the 6 runs in the first 2 innings will give it that, because what a great start offensively. Vasquez didn't have to worry about anything. He could just get out there and pitch, and he was great tonight, which leads me to...
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
Not too much of a stretch here, right? Nobody in the lineup had a huge night. Luis Arraez extends the hitting streak to 12 games, 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs, the 2-run homer. Big night for Louis. Man, Ryan O'Hearn 2 for 4 with the grand slam. Obviously a big one there. And then 2 hits for Iglesias, including a homer. Last night and tonight, he's been red hot. So all 3 of those guys had huge games, but he didn't get the thumbnail. He didn't hit one of the home runs tonight, but he is our player of the game. Randy Vasquez making a strong case for a spot on the playoff roster. It's not a guarantee that he's going to be on the roster, let alone the rotation. And we'll see these next few games before Mike Schulte makes a choice. But Vasquez, 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 98 pitches. Talk about a great night. Scoreless innings for Peralta, even though he gave up 2 hits, and Matsui, he gave up a single. But the star of the game tonight for the Padres, without a doubt, Randy Vasquez, and the offense keeping it going. 1:10 first pitch tomorrow with Dylan Sheets on the mound. And Dylan Cease. Did I say Sheets? Oh, Lord, I was looking at Gavin Sheets' name on the paper. Dylan Cease on the mound tomorrow. He's 8-12. The ERA is not super huge, but 4.6. Coming off a good year last year in a contract year. He's been wildly inconsistent within the same starts. He'll strike 8, 9, 10 guys out, but then have a 4 spot or a 5 spot in one of the innings. Walking guys, the command just hasn't been there all year for Dylan Cease, but he goes out and pitches a great game tomorrow. He's a shoo-in for the postseason rotation. You got King, you got Pivetta, you got you, Darvish, and you got Cease. I don't think Vasquez is good enough to be in that group. I know we got some people in the chat who are asking about that, and I appreciate all you guys being here. Without a doubt, all year long, your everydayers have been phenomenal. Zanocan says, what a game. Edgar, yeah, man. What about Edgar? Wondering about, it's a hot take, he says, and I want to give him his minute here. And this is on the YouTube show. I don't know if it's a hot take, but I think it is a hot take. But I think Randy earned his spot as a Game 2 starter, more consistent than you and has been more reliable than King. Well, King's been on the injured list and more consistent than you, Darvish. He's been back a couple months, and he has been up and down. I don't know that Vasquez has been more consistent than those guys, Edgar. He's had some bad outings where he's really gotten roughed up. Playoff start. it just changes everything. And Cease has done it before. King's done it before. Came in the door. I said it before. They've done it. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You got to – I just don't see Vasquez starting a game. But if, God forbid, one of those guys gets ripped and you can somehow claw back and stay in a game with the offense, then maybe Vasquez, Kyle Hart, those guys can really help you with some long relief. But I know Javi's going to have a blast talking about that stuff. For me, I have one more thing to do before I get out of here, and I am going to do it right now, which is to tell you, and again, we are right here live right after the games on YouTube. Then after that, we upload, you download iHeart, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple, Spotify, Roku. And then, of course, we have Locked On Padres podcast day in and day out with Javier Arraez, the ups, the downs, the ins, the outs, everything about the Padres. Been doing it since before the pandemic, building up the tribe. You guys are great, and he loves it. So myself, after the games, Javi day in and day out, and then it's Locked On MLB Game Night, Locked On MLB on YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. You're going to get local analysis on a national scale every game, every night, until someone holds up that beautiful World Series trophy. What an awesome trophy the World Series trophy is. And to hold that up, and before we bounce on out, I want to just remind you that the Padres are a game and a half behind the Dodgers. They do not hold the tiebreaker there. However, they're a game and a half behind the Chicago Cubs in the wild card race. Winner takes home field in that series. They're a game and a half behind them. And guess what? They do have the tiebreaker against the Chicago Cubs. And the reason there's a half game there is because the Cubs and everybody else play tomorrow while the Padres played on Monday when only 3 games were played. So everybody else going to be playing on Thursday. Padres finish this off tomorrow. They'll be sitting there looking at the Dodgers and the Cubs and everybody else getting ready for the Diamondbacks at home over the weekend. Thank you so much for being here. 7-0. Padres have won 4 in a row, first 2 of the series. Vasquez, 7 scoreless innings. O'Hearn, a grand slam. Louis Arraez, a 2-run homer, extends his hitting streak to 12 with a single in the first. And then, of course, Jose Iglesias with a homer. Beautiful night for the Padres. The entire bullpen, all the big dogs rested and ready to go for tomorrow with a day off coming on Thursday. They are lined up perfectly this weekend unofficially. In what order, I'm not sure, but I do believe it'll be Darvish, it'll be King, and it'll be Pivetta against the Diamondbacks. And come on, man, could you ask for anything more? What a night. Thank you so much for being here. Nothing but gratitude. Padres Postcast on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am Jim Grieshaber. Call me Gries, Gries, at Jim Gries _ on social media, reminding you, as always, to keep your game tight and your mind right, baby. Padres on a roll. Let's go.